What am I going to do with all this scrap fabric? Can I make something useful from it? What do you think? If you are like most people, you have a lot of scrap fabric lying around after completing a quilting or sewing project. We all know that it's hard to throw away these scraps, but they are too small for another project. So why not use them for something cute and useful? Let me show you. It's very easy. You can make many different things from these little pieces of fabric. For example, this adorable little needle book. By the way, how do you keep your needles? That's how I kept my needles before. And without a needle book, it was a real mess. And now the needles are perfectly organized. If you sew regularly, it's important to have a needle book on hand. You will never lose another needle again with this needle book. It has special tags for each type of needle to keep them all organized and easy to find. It's also a great way to make sure that you always have the right needle for the job. Needle books make great gifts for friends who love sewing too. Plus, they are super cute. This is an absolute must-have item if you love to sew. This needle book is made from scrap fabric that would have otherwise been discarded. Hey, I am Olga from hberry.com. Welcome to my channel, all about sewing, embroidery and quilting. I'm so glad you are here. If you like the video so far, press the like button below and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. What you will need to make the needle book: scrap pieces of fabric left from previous projects, felt pieces, I used 2 of them, a piece of batting, I used fusible batting, a piece of fabric for the interior of the cover. Choose a piece of fabric to complement the color of felt pieces, friction pen to write the types of needles, sewing machine, regular sewing notions. You don't need any pattern to make this needle book, and the fabric pieces, scrap pieces, can be any size and shape. So, how do we start? Gather some small scrap pieces. These scrap fabric pieces are so much fun to play around with, and the possibilities are practically endless. Decide what 2 pieces will be first to sew. Difficult task, but you really have to start somewhere. The pieces are various shapes, so after sewing, cut seam allowances so they look nice. Make them 1/4 inch seam allowances. Add the 3rd piece and stitch. Cut seam allowances again. Add another piece as you think it fits. Stitch and cut seam allowances. The scrap pieces I had were not all quilting cotton. I had silk, polyester, some knits, some home decor fabric too. You can see my progress when I was adding scrap pieces one by one. Some of them might not go well with others, so you can discard those. For example, I didn't like how the green piece looked together with the others, so I didn't use it. Press the seams a few times between adding pieces. At some point, measure if the piece of fabric you created is big enough for the needle book. Place the felt piece on top of it and make sure it's slightly bigger and you have at least 3/8 of an inch seam allowances. After you are done adding pieces, square off all edges with a rotary cutter to make a rectangle. This will be the cover of the needle book. I'm sure now you agree with me that those scrap fabric pieces are the perfect way to get creative and use your imagination. You can make anything you want with this, not only a needle book. You can use it for a book journal cover or to make a makeup bag. For the needle book cover, I needed a rectangle 13 3/8 by 10 inches. Because I was using felt sheets for the inside pages and their size is 12 by 9 inches. It's a standard size. You can adjust this size so it matches your felt pieces if they are different from mine. Make sure that you have a proper rectangle where all corners are 90 degrees. Have in mind that you have to make the cover a little bigger than the felt pieces. Next, I quilted this piece using my embroidery machine, but you can quilt it as you like. For example, use free motion quilting, straight line quilting, or hand quilting. Use thin batting for quilting. Trim off the excess batting before proceeding. The next step is to sew together the quilted cover and the interior fabric. I use quilted cotton for this and put some embroidery on it too to make it beautiful. Stabilize the interior fabric with fusible interfacing or embroidery stabilizer if you want to add some machine embroidery to it. Before stitching them together, fold the seam allowances on one long side of each piece, 3/8 of an inch, and press. Pin these two pieces right sides together and stitch along 3 sides, leaving one side with folded seam allowances not stitched for turning the cover right side out. Don't forget to backstitch at the beginning and at the end to secure the seam so it doesn't unravel when you turn the cover right side out. Trim 2 corners close to stitching to reduce bulk when you turn the cover right side out. Be careful so you don't cut the stitching. Turn the needle book cover right side out, taking care of corners. Use something like a chopstick to poke the corners. Press flat and sew the opening on one side by hand. I have a tutorial on how to sew an invisible stitch, so check it out if you are not sure how to do it. Be very careful when pressing, because if you use different types of fabric, that might require different iron temperatures. Use a pressing cloth. Prepare tags on felt pieces. I just used small pieces of white cotton for the tags. I attach them like regular appliques using zigzag stitches on my sewing machine. I used 2 rectangle felt pieces for the needle book, but 3 can be used too, and you will get 4 or 6 pages for the book. From my experience, using more than 3 felt pieces will result in a book that's too bulky and difficult to carry and close, so I recommend a limit of 3 sheets. Fold them in half and mark the center line. Mark also the center line on the quilted cover. Pin the felt pages in place and make a stitch in the middle to form needlebook pages. Use triple straight stitch or sew the regular straight stitch twice to make sure the pages are really secure and will not get undone while you are using the needlebook. Next, I used a friction pen to write the types of sewing machine needles. It's perfect for this task because if I make a mistake or want to rearrange the needles, I can press the tags with a hot iron and the writing will disappear. Now I can finally organize my needles. There are so many types of needles I use with my sewing machine. Why don't I throw away the needles I use? Well, if I use a universal needle for the whole project, I do throw it away. But if I use, for example, a top stitching needle for only one seam of the project, I'm not going to throw away the needle I used only once. I want to keep it for other projects as well. Or I used a twin needle to sew a hem. The needle can be used many more times for hemming other items, and I need to keep the needle, right? What do you think about this project? You can use all those scrap pieces that you have around in your sewing room to create this beautiful handmade needle book. It's a great way for improving your sewing skills and experimenting with quilting. So I would love seeing your finished projects. I'm so excited when my readers create something truly one of a kind using my tutorials, and it would be great if you share this project on Facebook or Pinterest. So, if you like this video, leave a comment down below and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And now go and check this video on my channel, it might be interesting for you.